All right, lesson one, don't send your friends to pick up your electric toothbrush package because they will immediately use it to clean their toilets. Oh my God, so good. All right, what are we talking? We're not talking about that today. All right, I spent like an hour yesterday recording a video, and it was deranged, it was late, and I played a Phineas song on the video, and YouTube's like, we can't. It was like an hour-long video. YouTube's like, we can't show this in all countries because of copyright violations. Oh, all right. So what are we doing today? We are going to basically use my Agent 7 course to go build some copy for Ampersand. I got really far last night. I published that to YouTube. I think maybe only if you're in Russia and China can you view the video, but this is going to be a shortened version. So what do we do? All right. So we did a couple things. We basically did an integrations intelligence clagent, and what the play here is very interesting is that I wanted to research these accounts for who was mentioned in their case studies and did they talk about the integration so that I can write a message to that person and be like, hey, what was your experience using this integration? Um, so we did that. Then we wrote some copywriting messages. So this is my message. Were you like, oh, actually, Claude did a really good job. But in some cases, were you the Alexander Pullman whose case study I read on the integrations story with Asana? Your case study famous. In the case study, it seemed like your tight integration between and Google Workspace enables employees to do blah, 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 blah. Like, was there anything about the integration in your experience you wish could be improved? So all I'm doing is gathering intelligence so I can take that intelligence back to the original account to talk to them about their integrations. But a good friend, Evan, basically, we noticed a couple things. We noticed that the case study in some cases didn't mention a person. So we have to go modify the agent to try to guess at the person. Um, and so we're going to have to change the copywriting agent to be a little bit clearer here, and also change it to have um, a more specific question. So that's what we're going to do today. So we have the. I don't think I need to change anything about the integration intelligence, but the copywriting agent we do need to change. So this is all from my course. So I used my own. I used my own course to help me. That's good, right? When you use your own things. All right, we got the new Claude. All right, let's just talk to Claude. This is an AI agent that I want to improve. There's two things that I want to improve about it. I like the opening line, but the opening line sometimes I won't know the person. So we need to be able to identify uh, if there is a basically this agent needs to be modified to guess at the person and find an appropriate, like it should have the wherewithal to search for the person, even if um, if it doesn't have the person, it should be basically enabled to search for that person. So, it might not know, but it's going to have to be flexible enough to search the site and take a guess. Uh, and if it doesn't know the person, it should say, is that you or is that someone else? I really want it to stay true to the format that I pasted above. This is the kind of key variable that it should be keying off of, the key copy. Um, so don't change the copy much except for uh, the question at the end. And also keep the spacing of the messaging, like the return breaks where they are. Now, what I want you to do is just evaluate how we can change this agent. Don't actually rewrite the prompt yet. I want you to think about the ways in which we can improve the quality of the agent first to search and identify who would be the possible user that this case study could be about. And it's going to need to go research and take a guess if it doesn't know. And it's okay if it gets it wrong, but the goal is to be able to find an actual lead that we could talk to and inject their name in the message and find their contact information. Can you redo this agent with that goal in mind? So basically what we're doing here is we just want to improve the quality of the agent because in the real world, data is messy. So bing. Oh, let's see. Actually, I think this has access to the internet, does it? Uh, yeah, it does have access to the internet. Okay, yeah. Assumes content information pre-provided. It does this agent will have research capabilities and it can validate it. And yes, there should be the fallback for uncertain cases. It's okay if it got it wrong. Like I don't care so much if the person's wrong, but I want the message to be good. Uh, and it might need to look at other case studies or identify the types of probably the best thing to do is for it to identify the types of personas that this company would go after. So that's a good hack. I like the confidence scoring. uh well, for low, don't say that. For low, say just say, were you the name uh whose case study? So just assume that even if you're not certain, um and then just ask a question, or was that someone else? Uh, like, or you could say something like, or do you know the person at company uh, who was on this case study? I like verify current employment. That's very helpful. And you're going to get a JSON array that has current employment, so that's really important. So when the web research agent looks for a person, if they find their LinkedIn URL inside of that array, it will actually say their current position. So keep that in mind. And it does this. It has access to web scraping and LinkedIn, not Zoom Info and not case study databases. Those just are going to be on the web. But the input of this agent is a previous agent. And don't worry about email verification. I don't need that yet. Great. Now update this with this additional information. So basically, what we're doing here is we want to. Uh, it's always helpful to have the model think through things first, so that you can do exactly what I did, which is talk to the model and say that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. So having it help you think through the thinking is totally helpful. Okay, this is good. But the key patterns, I think that those are not necessarily key patterns because at the very top of this prompt is again you're going to have to replicate all of the where the variables are, so you want to keep that the same, but it's going to depend on the product. So for example, a case study, uh, these are all go to market tech companies, so you can make some kind of assumptions, and actually I'm going to paste in all the companies whose they're very like well-known companies. So I'll paste in all those domains. So you can kind of make a assumption here about the type of titles that we would be focused on for case studies. But really, the agent should identify the key personas for the company that we're doing research. Um, and great, this is good. So now update the agent with this additional information. So again, one of the things that I teach in my course here is that you want to be really slow to work with these models, which is like you want them to think through things before you ask them to improve the quality of the agent. Great. The kind of nice thing, I always do this up front, so I don't have to repaste the variables. Um, nice, nice. Let's actually look at the original. Let's see if I can see. I want you to redo this with all of the like the prompt can be as long as you want. So I have the example outputs in JSON, the success criteria, the critical requirements. The prompt that you've written is like way different than the thing that I pasted in. So I want you to just basically kind of integrate my prompt and this updated prompt. And the main things that we're changing, of course, is the message in the uncertainty cases and also the other things that you mentioned here. So stop at nothing, integrate these two prompts. Like it's okay if it's verbose. We have a really, really good model that's working on this. So, and give it to me. Don't put any, uh, I just want one artifact here. I don't want inside of the artifact, I don't want other like sub artifacts to copy out or like code embeddings. Just give me the single artifact. Thanks. Update this now and don't worry about saving tokens. It's okay if your prompts are really long. So one of the things that I've learned about building prompts here is that it's really important to actually make them like a little long and unwieldy because you're accounting for all the different types of things that you really care about. Great. I always add a purpose. The categories and personas are very helpful. Wow, it's so much faster. I want to change. Evan had some really good points. Great. So I actually want, instead of was there anything about the integration experience you wish could be improved? Or I was curious about, I want this to be the question that we ask. Um, and I like the non-integration case study thing as you wrote. Keep that. Um, and I think at the end for the low confidence, you can say, or do you know who led this integration? So redo this prompt from the ground up. Remember, I have no other context from this thread, so don't assume anything. You have to reprint it all. And also change the copy to be aligned with this as the kind of ending question. So, especially if you're doing prompts for copywriting, it's really important to give Claude variables. I have a framework called Creative Constraint with Context, which is what I'm doing here. I want it to be really creative, but I want to constrain it, and I want to make sure it has all of the context. That's kind of the best way that I found to do prompts. My course will teach you a lot of this stuff that we're talking about here. Um, yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is great. I am really happy with this. So let's just select all of this, and we're going to replace our agent here. So we got Sonnet, Monk. Boy, I kind of don't like, well, okay, great. And I have to use my own API key because Clay is now getting upset if you have long prompts. I am responsible for that. Copywriting agent. Let's like just run a couple of these. Now, the other thing that you're going to learn is that you're going to be able to structure this by JSON. It's very, very, very cheap to do that. And then it's going to qualify the lead. And like, so your case study famous, like, seemed like you were planning on future integrations with, was there anything about yeah, this is like great, actually. So let's see what the improved agent does. And then while we do that, we're going to actually go, and I think that this is probably good for a video here, but we're going to write to other table, which is another thing that you'll learn in the course here. But we're going to new table. This is great. So you see how it's a workbook here. So Clay's going to do that. And the kind of nice thing here is you just can do this. So you can say insert all three items, and then the um, you can write all the details here. Last name, last name. I wish Clay made this easier to just, it should just work. Source domain, case study URL, case study URL, source company. Oops. Source company, great. We got that. These are all of the contact company. These are all of the structured data that the agent outputs, which is kind of crazy that contact company, confidence score, I don't care about. Outreach message, I do care about. I don't know why the model publication date. Well, that's kind of, maybe publication date's pretty important. Yeah, because like the kind of nice thing is when you let the models do that, like I didn't even think about publication date. So this might be an old case study. So they could say, oh, we don't use that anymore. Integration mentioned. So this is good enough. And then we're going to write the nice thing is if you after this you can write another data which will replicate the rows in the table, which is really helpful. Company name, and then a normalized URL. Okay. So basically, this means that I can now validate that the URL here, or the company name, is the same here. So I know that that the sub items in the array I can mention. So let's actually save and don't run this. Let's see how our agent's doing. Boy, our agent is Really struggling here. It's generally good. If I find that one of these integrations like is running for a long time, I'm probably just going to rerun the whole. Let's force run all 103 rows, which is going to trigger this to run. Uh, and I think it will trigger right to their table because we have this on automatic runs. Auto update. Great. So once this runs here, and sometimes you have to refresh Clay because it won't show you what it's doing. I have a song in my head, which I'm not going to play out loud for you so that I don't get dinged. Uh, oh, interesting. Oh, I think I probably ran out of money. All right, well, I'm going to run this. Oh, your permanent mainland. Oh, maybe I didn't. Yeah, yeah, maybe actually. Well, these are cute. All right, well, I'm going to close the video off here. If you want, I've dropped my course link below. $2.99, pretty inexpensive for what you learn. And I hope you learn a little bit more about how you can use AI to write prompts and even develop messaging if you have an opinion on what you're doing here, which is really important. So the next course that I'm putting together will help you figure out the who you should target and what you should say to them. The two biggest problems in go-to-market. Thanks so much for watching. Have a beautiful Wednesday. Is it Wednesday your time? Thursday? All right, bye.